Thanks for staying with us. Like I said, we're bringing you a chapter 2, more or less, of River State because we discussed River State earlier on. Now, the suspended governor, Siminalayi Fubara, addressed River State residents, emphasizing his commitment to constitutional duties and the welfare of the state. He reiterated his efforts to maintain peace and security, including following the Supreme Court's judgment and welcoming back resigned commissioners to promote stability. Fubara acknowledged political challenges, particularly from the River State House of Assembly, which hindered efforts for progress. Despite these obstacles, he assured the public that governance continued smoothly, with ongoing projects and salaries being paid, ensuring the state's safety and prosperity. He urged Rivers people to remain peaceful and law-abiding, stressing the importance of democracy and the state's resilience. Fubara expressed confidence that with patience and wisdom, the state would overcome these difficulties and continue to thrive. Our guests this morning are Comrade Mark Adebayo, National Spokesperson C.U.P.P, and Bedford Berefa Benjamin, Spokesman Ijaw Youth Council Worldwide. Gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good morning, viewers.
Let me start with Bedford Berefa. What's happening in Rivers now?
Well, it is no longer news that Rivers State has the state of emergency has been declared by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which is unconstitutional. State of emergency was declared when Goodluck Jonathan was president of this country, whereas he maintained the democratic elected personnel to manage their affairs. However, in this regime, we have seen every form of unconstitutional, undemocratic, method being implemented, being employed by the federal government, to further deepen the level of crisis in the State. We all are aware that the crisis in the State is political, and it does not call it was not called for, for extraordinary decision like the state of emergency that you did declare. But we thank God for the disposition of Mr. Governor, the governor of the state, since Fubara, who is a Democrat, who is a peace-loving man, who has by every means necessary ensure that peace and stability is the order of the day in Rivers State. We are watching how things are unfolding, and we know that everything that is on the people are the owners of democracy, and the people shall also lend their voice to any form of intimidation, federal intimidation, because what is happening in Rivers State is an intimidation, whereas one man is parading himself as the de facto president, that whatever he says goes, whatever he says stands. That is now how democracy works. And we are watching how things are unfolding. We are also, the international community is watching how things are unfolding. But we appreciate the governor of Rivers State, who has said that governance still continues. Peace and stability is the bedrock on which development thrives. And he is a preacher of peace, and practically that's what he's doing. And we can see it's no longer news. When the Supreme Court, people were saying that he breached constitution. He did not breach constitution. When the 27-person lawmakers detected, there was a court judgment that hindered them from participating in democratic rule. And also the INEC was notified to conduct an election to replace those 27 persons. However, the process lingered until the Supreme Court, however, now said that took their stand, which is also questionable. However, the Supreme Court has spoken, and the governor, in his wisdom, in his commitment to follow democratic rule, to obey the rule of law, made frantic efforts to see that peace and stability, that the legislative arm of government and the executive come in harmony to ensure that Rivers State is put first. And he also declared that every allocation, every salaries, and every remuneration that is accrued to them will be paid to them in full. That is form of commitment that the governor made. And it's laughable that how things are unfolding in Rivers State. We are watching how things are unfolding, and we hope that peace will be restored and stability and governance will continue.
Well, okay, Comrade Adebayo, maybe we should stop calling it emergency rule in Rivers State and just call it martial law. The small difference there is that in the emergency rule, like Bedford had pointed out, it can happen, but the democratic institution still remains in place. Like when the people were asked to stay indoors during the COVID-19, those are things that ordinarily the government would not do. But because of that emergency, they were asked to stay inside. So they ordinarily would not be able to enact some laws if it is not a state of emergency. But in the martial law, the military takes over, more or less, and that is more or less, for me, what is happening in Rivers State. It is an even though it is ex-military that is at the helm of affairs, now there are 10,000 troops that have been deployed to Rivers State. So I'm sure the movement in Rivers State is not as it used to be. There's no freedom of any kind. It looks like it is a military government within a civilian government, and I don't understand how that happens. Let me get your take. Since this thing happened, I've not met with you, Comrade Adebayo. So tell me what you feel about what is going on in Rivers State right now.
Well, whatever name you call it, whatever nomenclature that you address it with, whether it's an emergency, whether it's martial law, whatever is taking place and unfolding in Rivers State today is unconstitutional, is illegal, is absolutely unreasonable, even. So it does not matter the name you call it. So it is to this extent that I commiserate with the Rivers State people, and I commiserate with Nigerians and Nigeria on the demise of democracy in this country. Because what we are witnessing today is that the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is digging the grave of the Third Republic, and the Nigerian people are digging trenches to be able to resist this type of a dictatorial, totalitarian, draconian leadership that he has decided to offer. Now, the chickens are coming up to roost. The president is now unveiling the kind of person he is. He pretended to be a Democrat. He pretended to be a progressive. He pretended to be a pro-democracy activist. Now, in power, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely, and that is what we are witnessing today. His real personality, his real persona, in the company of the wickedest of this world, is now coming. Is not being exposed, now coming out openly to everybody. Now, in his iconic book, there was a country, Chinua Achebe, in 2012, published in 2012. Chinua Achebe, on page 244 of that book, says the road to remedy of Nigeria's political problems will not come easily. He said the key lies in the manner in which the country's leadership is selected. The manner in which the country's leadership is selected. And all of us know that the leadership recruitment processes of Nigeria today is warped, is rough, is crude, and is undemocratic. Now, we pretend to run a democracy that is supposed to be a constitutional democracy, but what we have is mere civil rule. It's mere civil rule. Nigeria is yet to graduate to the level of real democratic governance. And that's what we are saying today. That's why you see almost all our presidents since this republic started in 1999 have flagrantly violated the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended at will, and they just go scot-free like that. It started with Obasanjo using 6 members in the House of Assembly, 27 or 21 member House of Assembly in Plateau State to impeach a governor. The same thing he did in Ekiti State. So they use the instrumentality, the levers of the authority of the federal government. They misuse it to do whatever they want, to hunt after their political enemies, and thereby compromising the democratic tenets of the country and violating our constitution and breaking every rule of law known to law. And the way it is going, that's why I said I commiserate with all of us, because who we have in Asorok today can no longer be recognized as a Democrat, can no longer be recognized as someone who respects or believes in the rule of law, and we are going towards the demise of this republic, the way these people are going, the way they are misruling this country, the way they are misusing their power. Well, Fubara, to his credit, has shown himself, demonstrated himself to be a responsible, law-abiding citizen of this country. When they gave even impossible conditions, he decided, for the sake of peace, to embrace it, to welcome back the already, under the law, those 27 lawmakers are no longer lawmakers in Rivers State. Under the Constitution of Nigeria, as amended in 1999, they are no longer, no matter whatever the Supreme Court has said, is, to me, it's bordered out. They have spoken, they have to respect it, because there's a saying that even if a drunken judge delivers a judgment, you have to respect that judgment. To that extent, all of us are more or less helpless victims of lawlessness, helpless victim of a captured judiciary. There's a state capture going on, there's the judicial capture going on, there's legislative capture going on. There is a Donald Trump in National now that will not respect the law, that does not care about humanity, that does not care about human feelings. In fact, maybe worse, we are turning towards another Hitler. It's quite maybe we are turning towards, rather than the Third Republic, we are turning towards the Third Reich, and it will not happen. That's why I said the president has decided to dig the grave of the Third Republic, whilst the citizens are already digging the trenches of resistance against these undemocratic practices and this draconian, dictatorial, totalitarian dictatorship that they are trying to impose on Nigeria. It is unfortunate. Hopefully, in the imbroglio, we will have judges that will be able to stand up on truth, on equity, on justice, and upon the rule of law, and begin to start giving judgment in accordance with common sense, in accordance with good conscience, in the interest of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. What we are having now is that we are not only in the crisis of democracy, we are also heading towards constitutional crisis. The man they have appointed as administrator is a military man. They say once a soldier is always a soldier. It's a military man. So what we have in one state of the 36 states of the Federal Republic of Nigeria today is, as we said, is a martial law, and it's a military rule. And who invited the military? It is the civilians in power who invited the military to take over a part of this country, to take over a subnational of the country in a flagrant and unconstitutional manner that is, that has all the elements of totalitarianism, and this is supposed to be a constitutional democracy. Now, politicians were responsible for the demise of the First Republic. Politicians, because of the crisis that started in one corner of Ibadan, in the western region of Nigeria, that escalated all over the country. Politicians were responsible for the demise, for the untimely demise of the Second Republic under Shagari, because of one crisis in Ondo State, in same way, southwestern Nigeria. Now, today, I refer to this current republic as the Third Republic, because people who call it Third Republic are still asking them, when did we have the Third Republic? You cannot have a republic with a military president presiding over the affairs of the country. So I know what I'm saying when I'm calling this one Third Republic. I'm a student of revolutionary and political history, so I know what I'm saying. Now, this crisis that has started in Rivers State for the past 2 years, now that people think it's just about Rivers State. No, it's not about Rivers State. It is about the totality of our sickness, of the ailment, of our ailment as a country, as a people, as Nigeria, as inflicted by the people that call themselves our leaders. That's what you are witnessing. Now, today, Fubara is not a victim of this crisis. Fubara is not a victim of this injustice. Fubara is just one out of over 200 million victims of this, illegality and unconstitutionality, as imposed on us or unleashed on us by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The position here now, yes, as a man of peace, he has taken the peace. If you read his press release calling us people to keep the peace, to do this and that, I respect him for that. I salute him for that. And we will continue as an opposition and as Nigerians. We will continue to support Fubara because he has not done anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with anybody supporting you to be governor, to be president, to be anything. But everything is wrong with the attempt to now put you in their pockets. You know, that is why the phenomenon of godfatherism in Nigeria's democratic processes must be destroyed. We have to uproot it from our political lexicon. There must not be anything called godfatherism again. Let people get to office on their own merit, on their own strength, on their own efforts, and their own capacity, and their quality and qualifications, and their nationality as Nigerians who are qualified to occupy the offices of governor or president of this country. No more. No more. We say no to godfatherism. No more.
Okay, yeah. Well, we're running out of time, and I'd like you finally, Bedford, to say something, because it's like it affects the Ijaw people directly, and I'd like to know how you took the message from the governor, Fubara, and what steps you intend to take to influence the outcome of maybe the decisions of the National Assembly or something. But basically, I'd like you to talk to the people of Rivers, because we are concerned about peace in Rivers State. So talk to the people of Rivers as we wrap up.
Thank you very much. Just a point of correction. It's not only the Ijaw people that affect directly. Fubara is a multi-ethnic nationality. He's an Ekwere man by maternally and is an Ijaw man paternally. So he's a mixed breed. He's an Ekwere man. He also has equal rights as every Ekwere son in Rivers State. And this issue is beyond just Ijaw nation. We are struggling for the soul of democracy. Like the other speakers rightly said, the soul of democracy. We urge Mr. President, seems that he's incapable to use democratic principles, to use political principles to resolve issues of political differences. Then he should resign. He's incapable. For him to have invited the military in Rivers, it has shown his level of incapability. He is incapacitated. He cannot rule Nigeria. He cannot govern Nigeria properly. So we call that the first step that the military should take is to take over the federal system. Because you cannot, in a democracy, you cannot take one part to be a Rivers State to be military rule, to be military regime, and the Federal Republic democracy. It doesn't happen anywhere. So the step that we're going to take, we call on all Nigerians. This is not an Ijaw issue. This is the soul of democracy that is struggling for survival. We call on all Nigeria to resist this attempt to finally bury democracy in this country. We have to take the move by the arm. Like we know, democracy belongs to the people. We elected them, whether by hook or by hook, even if they have ridiculed the electoral system. They are president, they are democratically elected people in this country. However, the people must rise in one voice to speak against impunity, to speak against injustice. The issue that happened in Lagos is just minute. What is about to happen is a time bomb that will swallow the entire country. I will not be surprised that the Niger Delta declare sovereignty. I will not be surprised that somebody will just come out and declare Niger Delta will be republic, because this is against every democratic rule, and that is what we are headed to if the president does not take a U-turn of this decision. This is where we are headed to. I will not be surprised when the Niger Delta will declare Niger Delta republic, as every Biafran has done and every other ethnic nationality has done. We will not be surprised if that happens, because that is what that is tilting towards to. And I will not be surprised if there is violence. Yes, we are calling for peace. We are not a student of violence, because I know that advocacy is the best option and dialogue is the best option to seek resolve. However, we don't control the emotions of everybody in the Niger Delta. We don't control the emotions. So of course, emotions will start rolling in, and what we expect, what will happen may be out of control. And we call on international community to also pay attention to what is happening in Nigeria. This is not democracy. This is not the democracy that our fathers practice. This is not the democracy that they taught us in our university. This is not the democracy that we know. Democracy belongs to the people. And if the rights of the people are impeded, if the rights of the people are infringed, if a democratic elected governor can be removed, that means it is banana republic that we are in this country. However, the step that we take will keep every legal framework. We are going to employ every legal parameters to seek redress, even in international court, to seek redress in this issue. If not, Nigeria and anything that happens in Rivers, the president of this country and the de facto president, yes, Wike, should be allegedly should be held responsible for anything that happened in Niger Delta. It is not a fight for Ijaw nation. It is not just an Ijaw nation, Ijaw fight. It is a fight for the soul of democracy in the Niger Delta and by extension Nigeria at large.
It's an emotional thing. I agree, and we've been talking about it. But we know that more will come from River State, and we'll be bringing it to you wherever you are and however it happens. We'd like to thank Comrade Mark Adebayo, National Spokesperson C.U.P.P, and Bedford Berefa Benjamin, Spokesman Ijaw Youth Council Worldwide. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on the show this morning.
Thank you. Pastor Yangu, pray more for your country.
I will. Okay.
Pray more. We all need to pray.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. That's the much we can take on this program today. It's been a fiery one. We thank you for being a part of this show. We hope that you will rejoin us tomorrow for another edition of The Breakfast. For now, it's bye-bye from here. My name is Nyamgul Agaji.